I'd like to welcome everybody to today's webinar, Revolutionizing Campus Workflows with Kuali Build, Real Success Stories from Leading Universities. My name is Paul Smith. I'll be your host for this webinar. With me today is Jessica Henderson from the University of Connecticut, Jason Ferguson from California State University in Bakersfield, and Christina McGigan from Southern Illinois University in Edwardsville. Excited for this one. We're going to hear some great testimonials, some great stories. Before we dive in, though, I have just a few slides I like to share at the beginning of webinars to kind of kick things off, let everybody know a little bit about the company and the product Kuali. So with that, let me dive in here. A few housekeeping items. The session is being recorded. All of y'all are on mute. If you have any questions, there's a chat feature at the bottom of the Zoom window. Webinars work exactly like regular Zooms. So if you have questions, be sure to punch those in. I'll be keeping an eye on those as we go, and we'll relay your questions to our presenters. All right, a little bit about Kuali. At Kuali, we like to say that we build software for the future of higher education. And the story of Kuali really begins back in 2004 with the Kuali Foundation. The Kuali Foundation was a collection, a consortium of colleges and universities that got together and decided that they wanted to build their own software, that there weren't really companies out there that were building exactly what they needed, that software that met their needs. So they decided to build something and design software on their own. That turned out to be a very successful enterprise, and the consortium grew and grew, and the software really grew and grew in lots of different directions. And it was around 2014 when new technology came about and the cloud was introduced, and there was a lot of interest in software as a service, in SaaS-based delivery, and more agile development of features in the software. So it was around that time that Kuali, the company, was founded, Kuali Inc. And since that time, the company has really taken off. We've been able to rapidly deploy software in a way that's been really attractive to a large number of colleges and universities. To date, we have over 230 plus institutions using Kuali software, and that number continues to grow rapidly as we enhance our offerings and grow our software. So fast forward to today, Kuali in 2024, the 20-year anniversary of Kuali, the 10-year anniversary of Kuali as a company, and we've introduced the Kuali platform. And so on the Kuali platform, we have a variety of suites of software designed to meet different needs of a university or college. If you look at this is a bit of an eye chart, but if you look at the very bottom, you see the Kuali platform. And what that is a unified code base that we build all of our software on. And that gives us huge advantages because we are now unified as a development team. It allows us to build something once and ship it 5 times across our product lines, across our different product suites, which include solutions for folks in the business office, financials, financial management. In the risk management office, we have business continuity planning software with Kuali Ready. In research, an entire suite of products designed to meet a variety of needs in research administration, so Kuali Research. And over in the registrar's office, we have curriculum, catalog, and syllabus for the provost for the registrar's office. And finally, in the IT office, we have Build. And Build is not exclusive to IT. We often see in probably half of our implementations, Kuali Build being used at the departmental level. So when I organized today's webinar, I sent invitations out to folks at the IT office, to folks who work in technology, as well as folks who work in a variety of departments. So we really have a mixed audience here today. The other thing I'll point out in this chart is you see Build with each product area, because Build works in conjunction with our existing products. So if you're using research administration and you want to enhance data collection and the organization of that data and introduce workflows. Build works in conjunction with our research software. So that's that. A few benefits to Kuali software. It is very mobile friendly. It's extremely easy to use, requires very little training. We try to make our software as intuitive as possible using a lot of established standards. And finally, it's accessible, meaning that it's available to everybody, who have a variety of needs to use software. Two things that characterize Kuali software is continuous delivery. So when we have a new feature, we don't wait until our next big release to ship it to you. We ship it immediately. And that makes it a lot easier to learn new features as they come about. If any of you have experienced Apple's iOS update, they can ship like 50 new features with your iPhone, and it can be overwhelming to absorb all of that. So we do it individually. When we have something ready to go, we ship it immediately so that you can start using it. We also have a zero bug policy, and that's not to say that Kuali software doesn't have bugs. Like all software, bugs are introduced from time to time. But what makes Kuali different is when we find a bug, we stop what we're doing and we focus our energy on fixing that bug immediately, right? So that's what we mean by a zero bug policy. We address the bugs as they come. All right, a little bit about Kuali Build, the software that we're going to be talking about today. As we go out into higher education and we speak with administrators, we hear a few common things. First off, managing PDF documents, paper documents in many cases, and endless email threads is a nightmare. It's a real burden and introduces a lot of unnecessary steps and process that can increase the time required to complete a task. We also hear a lot of concern around data security and data accuracy, and having a cornucopia, wide variety of applications peppered across the university can make the issue of data security more of a threat, right? So having a unified solution. And finally, lengthy timelines for completing a process. We had a webinar last month with Occidental College in California, and our speaker, Jessica, was saying that it used to take her weeks to physically walk around campus and collect wet signatures from everybody to get an approval to go through. Now we've got a solution that greatly simplifies that process with Kuali Build. In the world of online forms and workflows, you have fundamentally two different types of software that we see. We have software that can be described as simple and easy to use, things like Google Docs, SurveyMonkey, other tools that require almost no training to use. They're no code, but they're really simplistic in terms of their feature set. So they're not able to meet the complex needs of a higher ed institution. On the other end of the spectrum, we have software that's powerful, but it's complex and usually requires the developer to create elaborate workflows, to create those online forms. So it meets your business requirements, but it also introduces a bottleneck in development where you have a small number of people who are required to build the things that you need to build in your institution. These solutions also tend to be really expensive and have complex pricing models. With Kuali Build, we've got the best of both worlds. It's easy, extremely easy to use. And I think our speakers will speak to that today. And it's very powerful. It allows you to do some very elaborate processes in your university or college. It's also got a very simplified pricing model. So every year or 3 years when your renewal is up, you know exactly what you're dealing with. There's no surprises or gotchas. We don't price based on the number of users. It's a very simple pricing model. A few final slides and we'll jump into our presenters. Kuali Build by the numbers. Since we started counting in January of 2020, we have over 15,000 apps that have been created with Kuali Build. And an app is a combination of a form and a workflow together. We call those apps. And that has resulted in almost 3 million form submissions. And when you think about this number, you really need to think about that's emails that haven't been sent, PDFs that haven't had to be filled out, or paper that's been passed around. So a huge savings here with that number. Now, how is that number possible? How do we have this, gigantic number of submissions? And the answer is the folks that will be presenting here today, our app administrators. We have over 11,000 folks creating their own apps, right? And these are non-technical folks in many cases, most cases, creating their own online forms and their own sophisticated workflows. So that has really been the secret of our success with Kuali Build, and the reason why it's grown so rapidly over the years. All right, that's it for my portion of the presentation. Thank you, everyone, for going through that. What we're going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to go to you, Jessica, for your portion of our presentation today.
You got it. Can you see my screen okay?
Yep, looks
okay.
good.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Henderson. I'm with the University of Connecticut. I'm a team lead within the Central IT department. I support many enterprise applications, including Kuali Build. Just to give you an idea about our size, we have 5 campuses and over 30,000 students. I suspect many of you can relate to this feeling. I know I received this type of feedback from our Kuali builders. Today, I will be discussing the impact Kuali Build has had at UConn. Starting with a little history. From the beginning, Kuali Build had an impact on over 8,700 faculty and staff when Human Resources rolled out the COVID-19 vaccination tracking application. I know we'd all like to forget about the pandemic, but this app was critical to our success. HR saw the power of Build firsthand and how rapidly we could build an application on the fly and quickly respond to changing requirements, all without IT skills. Kuali Build also allowed us to start our transition away from our low-code platform. Once people were exposed to Build, adoption grew. Initially, we were onboarding new users by providing 1-hour trainings and quickly discovered we could not keep up with the high demand with our limited staff. So in 2022, we moved to a self-service model, created a Kuali Build access request form containing information about the essentials on getting started with Kuali Build, and promoted our knowledge base. Kuali Build transformed workflow development at UConn. It provides a much needed platform for citizen development. Build has also allowed us to transition away from our low-code platform, which requires programmers to develop applications, and shift our focus to supporting Kuali Build, including responding to design and functionality questions, providing training, troubleshooting issues, and building integrations. It will reduce our low-code infrastructure costs and resources associated with our low-code platform, eliminating the need for on-premise server and middleware support and WebSphere skill sets. We've also been able to rebuild 58 low-code apps in Kuali Build. Citizen development removes the ITS resource bottleneck, as departments will no longer have to wait for us to develop an application. We quickly found that if you Kuali Build it, they will come. Adoption continues to grow by word of mouth. We don't even need to promote it. The impact of Kuali Build is substantial. It provides significant improvement to application development timeframes compared to IT developed applications in our low-code platform or traditional full-stack development. These numbers speak for themselves, with 204 apps developed in 9 years by software developers versus over 1,400 apps created in 3 years by our citizen developers. We've experienced significant growth just in the last 6 months, with a 25% increase in new applications, a 31% increase in submitted documents, and a 16% increase in application builders. Our growth is attributed to word of mouth, training, and the ease of use associated with a no-code platform. Our Kuali Build support team has enhanced our knowledge base content with additional videos. We held a staff technology day to educate our staff on available tools, and our team conducted instructional presentations and Kuali Build workshops. We leverage our ticketing system to intake and track questions, troubleshoot issues, provide targeted training on design and functionality questions, and engage in one-on-one team sessions with our customers. Kuali Build has been adopted throughout the entire university community at all schools and colleges. This includes administrative, operational, academic areas, and students as well. We have university-wide buy-in. Here's a little bit about Kuali Build today. We have 4 part-time system administrators, 5 publicly available integrations, including our identity management system, which is LDAP, and our Kuali financial systems. Our KFS integrations include KFS account numbers, departmental and organizational information, and employee supervisor relationships. We're working on developing new integrations with our student administration system as well, which is PeopleSoft. Our departments are starting to organize their apps as we have 8 departmental spaces. We have over 400 people creating apps in Kuali Build, over 1,400 total applications, and over 124,000 total submitted documents. These numbers demonstrate how impactful Kuali Build has been at UConn. It has empowered the university community to build their own apps to automate their business processes and manage their own groups without relying on central IT. Delegated group administration has been a huge time saver for us in central IT as well. We appreciate that feature. Now I'll discuss some popular applications that have automated key processes on campus. Some of our most popular apps are request type apps. This includes the purchasing request. There are over 40 different departmental purchase request apps, as departments have their own internal approval process prior to a purchase request in KFS. Many of them leverage the LDAP integration. Our Stanford regional campuses use the KFS accounts and employee supervisor integration. This chart represents our top 6 apps with the most submissions, including the student activities purchase requests with over 2,000 submissions, and our flexible work request app with nearly 7,000 total submissions. Kuali Build has made a significant impact on staff and administrative areas such as HR. They have automated many business processes with Kuali Build and are now organizing their 75 apps within their space.
And I think Jessica may have frozen on us here. She was off to such a great start. I think what we'll do is we'll pause. She may jump off and jump back in, and we'll let her finish out her presentation. Jason, it might be a little premature, but are you ready to jump in and share your story?
Yeah, I can do that. Can
All right.
you end the screen sharing? Mirror end?
That's a great question. I don't know that I've ever had to do this before. Oh, I think
she dropped off.
she'll be back. She'll be
Yeah.
back. Yeah, go for it.
All right, let me share screen here with you guys. All right. Are you guys able to see my slide now?
Yeah, you're
All the
good.
news kids? All right, good. All right, well, good morning, good afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world or in the country. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Jason Ferguson. I'm from California State University in Bakersfield, and I'm the Digital Transformation Services team lead here in the IT department. I have a couple of other team members that help me out because I couldn't do this all by myself. Andrew, who's been with me since the beginning of this journey, and Jaime joined us just a few months ago and has gotten up and running, building Kuali forms very quickly within weeks of starting. So it's just a testament to how easy it is to get started with Kuali. And a little bit about our campus. We are the road runners, and coincidentally, we do have a couple of coyotes roaming around campus. So the cartoon is brought to life. We are one of 23 campuses within the California State University system. And then we're located in the southern San Joaquin Valley here in California. So down at the bottom, about an hour's drive or so north of Los Angeles. And last year we had 9,399 students on campus enrolled. So first, I'm going to talk about some of our apps that we've built with Kuali. And a couple of these we're still building. We're in the final testing phase, and some with integrations and some without integration. So first, I'll talk about a few of these that are not using integrations, but have still been a huge help for our campus. The first one here is a cash handling location request. So when departments need to start accepting cash, check, credit card payments, they have to fill out a form to make sure they have all the controls and processes in place to do that. And that has to be routed around and approved by a lot of people, up to 25 people in some cases. And there's a long questionnaire on this form, about 20 questions. So the draft feature in Kuali has been really helpful, so someone can save that as a draft. Also, our cashier's office can review that form before everybody starts signing off to make sure everything's completed accurately and send it back if needed. That was a big struggle with the product we were using before. They would have to cancel it and start it over. And then finally, because there's so many people involved in this process, could be up to 25 people, what we did was peppered email notifications into the workflow that notify the submitter where their form is in the process, so they don't have to keep checking Kuali, even though Kuali has a great feature where they can check the status anytime. And then our next app here I'll talk about is an out-of-class testing request. So this is run by our Office for Services for Students with Disabilities. So whenever a student needs to take a test out of the classroom because they need certain accommodations, they submit this form to their instructor, who can then review this form. And one of the things we did for the instructors, because we get new faculty, every year, is we just put a link to the detailed instructions on how they should review and complete the form in that email notification, which keeps us from having to send that out to faculty members every year. And then the instructor can also use their action list. We link to that as well in the email. So if they have multiple of these, they can quickly jump to their action list and approve multiple forms at one time. And then even though they needed to select a time to take the test in their office, instead of using the time gadget, we actually used just the drop-down gadget. So something a little different we did there, so we could limit the times that they could choose from. And then our next app in this series was the manager performance evaluation. So this is essentially an employee performance eval for managers specifically. And one of the things we did here is we made this form so that either the person doing the evaluation could submit it, but oftentimes, because this is happening at higher levels, their administrative support person will initiate on their behalf. And so we gave an option where they can choose that they're submitting it, and then they can choose who the evaluator is. So, and then it will route to that person. And it can even be pre-filled by their admin support person. So all they have to do is review for accuracy and then send it on to the employee to review and sign it. So the next series of apps I'm going to talk about here are integrated. So we're using Kuali's integration feature, using APIs to talk to our backend identity management system to make these apps work. The first one here is an employee location update request. And so whenever an employee changes their office, their working location, they can use this form to update that information. This will pull all their current information from our IDM system, and it will also pull in their manager who approves their change. And then notifications get sent out after that once it's been approved by the manager, and it actually updates the backend system at that point as well. So there's no more human intervention involved in getting that information updated. And then these last two I'm going to talk about in this series sort of go hand in hand. We built a form for our HR department to be able to quickly disable an employee's account. Sometimes when they're separating an employee from the campus, they need to quickly disable the account, and they would have to, prior to this, contact our security team for that. But now they can do that themselves. If that employee is just being placed on administrative leave and they may return later, then when that employee comes back, HR can actually use the data sharing feature with a different app to enable the account again. So they can only, while using the data sharing, we've limited them so that they can only enable an account that they previously disabled themselves with the other app. And so that has really helped out in not having to look for a member of our security team to do that for them. Okay, and then this next series here are integrated with our student information system. So we have an orientation registration app where new students, transfer students, and freshmen register for orientation. Prior to this, we had an online form, but it sort of just put everything in a batch file and uploaded it overnight. And then students couldn't make changes if they wanted to schedule to a different session. They had to call an office or send an email that had to be done manually. Now students can register, they can reschedule themselves. We limit the number of sessions that they can see, or the available sessions that they can choose from. So this is all done with integrations. And in real time, when they submit the form, it updates our student information system to store their registration. And we can even apply charges if they're bringing extra guests or if they're rescheduling. And we've already had over 2,000 students register for orientation through this app. And then kind of going hand in hand with that, we decided after we built that, our orientation office says, hey, can you build us a check-in app as well? So we utilize the data sharing feature again in Kuali, so that we built a check-in app. So if a student's registered for a session, they can just search in this student box here, choose the student, and all the information from their registration will fill in. And then they just hit submit to check them in. We also gave them a way to handle walk-ups where they can just search for a student or enter their information in. But that has really helped them out and sped up their check-in process. Okay, and then we're in the final testing phases on this app, and the next one I'll talk about. But this is an add drop request. So once we pass the time that students can add and drop courses themselves through the student information system, they have to submit a request, and the instructors have to approve that. So what we've done now is built this in Kuali with an integration. They want to add a class. They just enter the class number, all the other information you see about the class fills into the form automatically. And then very similar to that, if they want to drop a course, their class schedule is right there in a drop-down list. They choose a course they want to drop. All the information populates from our information system on the back end. And then we use the instructor here that we pulled in to route this Kuali form for approval by the instructor.
Can I just say there, Jason, that as a parent, I think this is something a lot of us can relate to in some form or another. We've either had to go through this or we've experienced this on some level, but having to fill out forms, at the beginning of a school year, registration forms, sports, athletic forms, there's a litany that you go through as a parent, and having to write my address over and over and over, and my phone number is so frustrating in 2024. And so the two thoughts that I have for this are that that must be a huge relief for faculty and students and administrators on campus to have this kind of integration in place. And two, what I was mentioning earlier around data accuracy and security, this must solve a lot of administrative heartache as well by having accurate data and not having to fix errors constantly.
Oh yeah, our registrar said, "Get ready. Everybody's going to buy you guys lunch for this."
I love that.
So they're really excited. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of people put the wrong instructor or something in these courses. So it creates some headaches for sure. But those are about to go away. And then the last one here I'll talk about is the undergraduate change of major. It's very similar. It pulls all their information in for the student about their current major, minors, and concentrations. And then they can choose what they want to do. They want to change majors or change concentrations. And we can pull in the department for that major, find who the department chair is, and then route this form to the department chair for approval. So this eliminates people writing in names of majors and then the registrar's office trying to interpret it, or the department chair, what major did they mean here? So they're choosing from valid choices in our system. So it's going to match up perfectly at the end. So to kick all this off, back at the beginning of this year, we held a couple of workshops, similar to what Jessica was saying. We held a couple of workshops on our campus, an introduction workshop. We had 51 people attend that introduction, and we just took them, explained what Kuali was, took them through hands-on, just building a simple event registration with an email confirmation so they could see how easy it was. These are the people that are usually out in their apartments. They own these forms, they process the forms. Sometimes they're even the ones submitting the forms as well. So just to get their hands into it and see how easy it is. And then talk to them about whether they want to build their own forms or have us help them build it. And from that, we got 12 of those people who joined us for a more advanced session so we could go over some of the more advanced workflow features using branches, conditions, and then just expanding on that. We just took that same app and expanded it. And so that way they have this one app that they've built all the way through both sessions. And that's the conclusion of my part of the presentation. A couple of QR codes here, one for our DTS website that has my information on it if you need it. Also, I put here the Circles community for Kuali, so we can try to get a lot of, for existing customers, great place to put questions and get ideas, input. Even the Kuali team joins in some of these discussions, so really good place to share.
Right on. Thank you, Jason. That was a great presentation. Just really inspiring to see, all that you're all doing out there with Build. I will just say, as an employee, listening to you and Jessica already, it's really encouraging for somebody who works at a software company to see their customers actually getting really, good use from the things that we're trying to do. We're on a mission at Kuali, and it's really satisfying to see it coming to fruition. So Jessica, welcome back. I understand you lost power out there, which actually is a good opportunity for me to once again hype up Kuali Ready, our business continuity planning software to help universities prepare for any and all contingency issues that might come to pass. I think you got through, I'm not sure how far you got through your presentation before we lost you, Jessica. But did you want to continue kind of speaking to your remaining slides?
Sure. If Christina would like to go, I'm still trying to get my computer back up. I joined via my phone. So Christina, please go ahead and I'll try to get set up. Sorry about that, folks.
Oh, no worries at all, Jessica. Stuff happens. Christina, over to you.
Sure. I will go ahead and share mine real quick, and then hopefully we'll be able to jump back on Jessica. So let me share my screen real quick. Oops, that's the wrong one. There we go. All right. Okay. Whoops. Darn it. I did it again. Hate it when I do that. Sharing the wrong one. Just a second here.
I don't know about you guys if you use Zoom, but when I go to share sometimes, I have like 6 desktops and like 58 apps and 26 tabs. It's like impossible to find the one that I actually want to present, but it looks like you got it now.
I think I do have it now. Yes, you're exactly right. And I tried to do what you said and close everything before I started, but it still was on the wrong screen. But that's okay. We're all people, right? We're all human. And Kuali Build's a robot, so they do the excellent things for us. See, there you go, Paul. Right to you. So my name is Christina McGuigan, and I'm from Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. And I'm really excited to talk with you about how we've used Kuali Build to really transform processes in the graduate school. So a little bit about SIUE. We're a public doctoral professional university, and we have close to 50 graduate and professional programs. Even though our university title includes Illinois in it, we're actually really close to St. Louis, Missouri. So we have the benefit of being 30 minutes away from St. Louis, Missouri. So our students can benefit from the corporations there, and they take advantage of partnerships with St. Louis, along with the small town feel of being in Edwardsville, Illinois. So a summary of our background with Kuali Build. The graduate school was actually using Kuali Research first. And as we used Kuali Research a little bit, we saw the capabilities with it. We saw the benefits of it on the research side of the graduate school. And when Kuali Build came out, it wasn't long before the deans in the graduate school thought, well, why don't we try using Kuali Build for some things? So we started using Kuali Build, even though we did have access to some electronic form capabilities. We were really using PDFs, as Paul mentioned earlier, and we were using paper forms. That was pretty much what an email chains. That was what most graduate school processes were handled by. Fast forward to Kuali Build. So here's a representation of a few of the Kuali Build apps that we've created in the graduate school. We handle graduate student requests in the graduate school. So we have forms that are just for graduate students. We have forms for faculty members. We have forms for research, for grant administration, for what you see pictured there, graduate school feedback. And that's just a form that's for students, administrators, staff members to submit feedback on the graduate school. We have a form that could be used for almost anything you can think of. In fact, I was looking at it as Jessica was talking earlier, and the graduate school, we're just one department at SIUE, and we've created over 100 different Kuali Build apps for this one department. So we've pretty much taken anything that we were using a PDF document for, a paper form, or an email chain, as Paul mentioned at the beginning of this, and turned it into Kuali Build form. The Kuali Build application that's had the greatest impact, though, in my world in particular, has been the graduate assistant contract. So before we get into what the graduate assistant contract looks like right now, this is where we came from. We came from the dark ages. We came from an archaic process. I'm sure that most people listening or watching this can relate to doing something, as Paul was mentioning, filling out forms for your students and having to put your address 15 times when you've already done it once, thinking that is silly. So we were using a very outdated, old, extra work process. In the olden days, a graduate assistant contract included, for one contract, on average, 15 pieces of paper for one contract. So these little screenshots that I'm toggling through real quickly here, that's just a sampling of the pieces of paper that were included with one packet of a graduate assistant contract. In fact, one of those pieces of paper that you see there is a paper that was used to keep track of all the pieces of paper, because people needed a checklist to see if they included all of their papers. So it was a silly process, I have to say. And so we had approximately 500 contracts, graduate assistant contracts, that were turned in for a term, which that would be around 7,500 pieces of paper in one term total. That would come out to 22,500 pieces of paper in an academic year. 22,500 pieces of paper that were shuffled around multiple buildings. So if a graduate assistant contract had to be signed by a fiscal officer, which it did, it had to be signed by a dean's office, and it had to go to the graduate school, and it had to go to, you get the idea. So all of those people are not located in one building. So they were transporting these piles of paper all around campus in the old days. Fast forward. Now we're using Kuali Build for a graduate assistant contract. So this is what the Kuali Build graduate assistant contract looks like. All of those individual pieces of paper that you saw in those little screenshots have been incorporated into one form. This includes a student's hiring packet. It includes all of the details of a contract that you would expect. the date ranges of it, how much the student's going to get paid, what their job duties are. It includes all the signatures, all the approvals that are needed. So fiscal officers, dean's offices, all those kinds of things. Everything that goes into a contract between the student, the hiring unit, and the graduate school and HR, and in some cases, grant account approvals whenever the position was on a grant account. So we've finally seen the light. So this is what the new process kind of looks like. So the graduate assistant hiring unit submits a Kuali Build GA contract, and then the graduate school reviews it. After that, the form is routed for approval. I mentioned this a little bit, but those approvals would be the fiscal officer. The student is included in that. They need to approve their job duties, the date ranges, how much they're going to get paid, all that kind of stuff. The I-9 is incorporated into that whenever an I-9 is required. And then after all of that is done, the graduate school processes it. And when the graduate school processes it, that means the payroll record is put into the HR payroll system and the tuition waiver is processed. After that, notifications are automatically sent. I was thinking back as Paul was talking to the fact that I used to not have a way to notify students when their contracts were processed, other than trying to pull a report from our payroll system and, harnessing students' email addresses out of that, and then figuring out who needed an email out of that. Now it's automatically sent. So those notifications are automatically sent to the hiring unit, to the student, to the SIU sister campus. We do have some students that are on a collaborative position between SIUE and SIUC. So then we let SIUC know about that, the tuition waiver for that student. Post-award, when the position was funded by a grant account, and then extra copies whenever the submitter indicated that extra copies were needed. All right, so that's an overview of what the graduate assistant contract looks like now. So when we were unrolling this, as you saw, there was, like I said, 15 pieces of paper. That's what our campus was used to. And you probably know that some people, when they have a process, they get used to it, they like it, it's familiar, right? So when we were unveiling something totally new, we started by piloting this with some specific units that we invited to take part in this process. We thought they were a good representation of our campus. We invited them to pilot spring 2022, and then we rolled it out campus-wide summer 2022. We offered Zoom training sessions. We added step-by-step instructions to our online hiring unit resources page. But really what we found is, as Paul already said, as Jason already said, the process with Kuali Build, or the software itself, I guess I should say, is pretty intuitive, and users find that they don't have as many questions. They don't need as much training as they think they're going to need. And I included a little screenshot up here of just one field, excuse me, in the GA contract form, this field that says fair and equitable search process. So whenever I was creating the GA contract, any field that I felt like a submitter might have extra questions about, I tried to utilize this feature of the help bubble. I don't know what the actual term is, but whatever you want to call it. And if there was extra information that a submitter might need, I included it whenever it was appropriate in those fields. So a submitter might not need as much training as they think they need, because we tried to incorporate the training within the form itself. We also have a Teams group where GA contract submitters can ask questions and get a pretty quick response. We have yearly refresher training. Once again, though, a lot of that is not needed as much as we expected it to be. So utilizing the special Kuali Build features. Jason already mentioned this quite a bit, and some of the things I'm going to share are very, very similar to what he said, but I really enjoy how Kuali Build comes out with new features, and as Paul said, we're told about them as they're introduced. So I love to look at those new features as they're introduced and think, okay, is this going to work in one of my forms? How can I introduce this? Does it make sense? So here's a few of those special features that came out after the GA contract was created. So one of them is data sharing between forms, and Jason already referenced this in his portion of this, but in this specific situation, there are some graduate assistant contracts that need special budget approval. And so the budget approval form, we call it a SPA approval form. The budget approval form is linked to the graduate assistant contract. So when the submitter is submitting their GA contract, they're actually able to pull up their budget approval form that's already been approved, and all of that information populates into those fields next to it. The next integration or special Kuali Build feature is having a Build Banner API link. This really helps in the graduate school. It helps on our workload. So when we go back to those individual pieces of paper that we had, I would receive a graduate assistant contract. And one of the first things I would need to do is think, okay, is this student really eligible to work as a graduate assistant? So I would need to go into Banner. That's the system that we use at SIUE to keep track of students' records. And I would have to see what's their GPA. What are they enrolled in? Are they even a graduate student? Are they enrolled in any classes? Those are all pieces that I would need to go into separate Banner screens to look up. Not with this Build Banner API link. So we have this Build Banner API link within the graduate assistant contract that does that for me. So I'm able to look in that section of the GA contract. I can see in this screenshot here, there's an example that this student was enrolled in 6 grad hours. They had a 4.0 GPA and they were in the Arts and Sciences MS program. That saves a lot of work. And then conditional permissions. This was just recently unleashed. I don't know if that's the right word, but this was just recently introduced. And basically it's a way where I can give GA contract approvers access to see all the forms that have them as an approver. So they now have a view to see anything that was listing them as an approver, all of them total. Whereas before they would see them when they approved it and then they were gone after they clicked the approve button. Now they can see anything that had their name on it. They can run them, they can filter them, they can draw reports from them, and they can put them in Excel and do all kinds of fun things with them. In fact, after this was introduced and I was walking through this with somebody on the phone, it just took a few minutes for me to do that. And she looked at it and she said, this just made my day. So for me to hear something like that, when I really didn't do much, it was really Kuali that did it, not me, but she thought I did. So I got to be like, yes, go me. But to hear things like that just really are special to me too. It made her day and it made my day to hear her say that. And here are a few other times that we've heard really great testimonials about using Kuali Build for the graduate assistant contract. You all know how to read, so I'm not going to read through all of these, but I want to point out the one that's on the far left, at least on my view, where this person said, I think it easily cuts the time of entering and processing a contract by at least 50%. That means so much. I mean, thinking about some of these hiring units where their office support staff are very overworked. They're doing lots of tasks. So for the graduate school to help them with a task that reduces their workload like that is gold. What about on the student side though? I'm going to get to that in a minute. So the benefits of using Kuali Build for the graduate assistant contract are seeing where a form is in the workflow. Everybody can see where it's sitting and where it started. It's easy to use. I already talked about that. Ability to change, adaptation. We all know that rules are going to change in higher education all the time, and we need to be able to change things quickly. It's quick. I'm going to get to that in a minute too. And it's streamlined and includes integration. Along with that quicker process thing, I pulled one graduate assistant contract and included it here just for you to see how quick it could be using an electronic process as opposed to paper that you had to carry around from office to office. So on this first one here, or I'm sorry, at the very beginning of this contract, you can see that it was submitted on February 7th, 2024. By the time it was totally processed at the end, it was February 13th, 2024. This means that this form was processed in 4 business days from submission with 6 approvals by 4 different groups of people. When I say 6 approvals by 4 different groups of people, those were people located in different offices, in different buildings, sometimes not even on campus. Especially when the student is concerned, they're not here. So think about what that means. That would have not have been possible with a paper process. What does this mean? Happy students. If their graduate assistant contract is processed faster, that means their payroll record is processed faster. That means they get their first paycheck faster. Thank you so much for listening to this today. I hope it blessed you. I hope that it just unleashed in your mind ideas for how you could use Kuali Build for your campus.
Yeah, that was really inspiring, Christina. Thank you. So much goodness. I have to just, as you were showing, the filter view of the different forms and submissions, it occurred to me that I should share that we use Kuali internally at the company for most of our internal processes, and I love it. So when I go to a conference, there's an expense report, and I have to submit all my travel and everything else, and we do that with the Kuali Build app. And I love being able to go through and see, my full history, what stage of approval my expense reports are at. And, it's a lot better than what I've experienced in the past. So we eat our own dog food, I guess you could say, here at Kuali. We love it. So great presentation, Christina. Thank you. And welcome back, Jessica. There you are in the flesh again.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry you had to go through all that. I know that
Sorry
must
about that.
stressful. Yeah.
Power helps.
Yeah. Well, we have time if you wanted to finish up and pick up where you left off.
Sure.
Yeah, we're
Okay. I think I left off with human resources, so I don't have too many more, but just wanted to share employees in HR. We're excited to roll out the employee performance evaluations for the first cycle this year. It's been a big improvement and will replace our former manual process of completing Word documents, converting them to PDFs, and then emailing them around for approval. It also makes use of our identity management system integration. Customer testimonials speak for themselves. Krista from our student activities office has harnessed the power of Kuali Build. It has become an essential tool within their department. Kuali Build is also enhancing the student experience at UConn. It has enabled the trustee student organization to manage all of their processes centrally, increase quality, reduce staff time required to process requests. They have been able to replace old processes using PDFs and, once again, downloading, uploading, and emailing those documents around for approval. They've also been able to replace disparate systems such as QuickBooks. Another student-facing app with faculty involvement includes the Academic Plan Change. An academic plan of study is a graduation requirement at the College of Engineering. Students map out the entirety of their degree coursework with their advisor to verify they meet all conditions and degree requirements to graduate. This app allows them to apply for a concentration, a different major, or indicate their honor status. It has over 1,300 total submissions in just the past year. These applications demonstrate the impact business process automation has had on faculty, staff, and students within the university. Kuali Build is truly improving the efficiency and effectiveness of our organization. And with that, I will remind you to keep calm and Kuali Build on. Thank you very much.
right on. Thank you, Jessica. And so the question came up. People were really interested in seeing your final slides, but I know you're reading off your laptop there because the building's lost power, and I think you're joining with your cell phone. So way to adapt.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Let's see. Yeah, so we definitely have time for some questions, and a few are popping up now. Michael has one, and I'm just going to read this live. I'm going to have to put my glasses on. One of the issues we have with Kuali document routing is when a document contains someone who is no longer with the institution. Can you build contingency through Kuali Build to bypass those who are no longer active in the system? I see Christina nodding. So you want to take that one, Christina?
Sure. I mean, so I'm answering that from a submitter, like a doc administrator in that regard, not IT. So Jason and Jessica could answer that better than I can. But from my perspective, you always have the option to skip people and assign it to a different approver. So I have the capability to be able to assign it to whoever I want. So if I see an app that's just sitting there because somebody left, I can just assign it to somebody else.
The other thing that I would add is we also have the concept of roles. in Kuali Build, and this works in a variety of our products. So you can assign a step or an approval to a role, say, a certain dean or director of finance or what have you, and it would be routed to whatever person is in that role. So if you have staff changeover and a new person comes in, it's just a matter of assigning a person to that role, and then any approvals, any workflows that are out there that have to go to the person in that row would automatically go to that individual. So instead of it going to Bob, and then Bob leaves the university and then all our workflows are broken, it goes to the director of finance. And then, like I said, I think you guys get it. So that's a handy way of addressing that issue also. Let's see, more questions might come in, but as I was listening to you all talk, I just had a few questions and you touched on this. Can you talk a little bit about what your implementation experience was like, getting trained on how to use Build for the first time, and like what your experience was with the customer success agent that you worked with? Jessica, you're unmuted, so I'm going to pick on you.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, we hit the ground running because we went live during COVID and needed to get that COVID-19 vaccination tracking application going. So we were really focused on getting that out. And really adoption just grew just by use of that throughout our departments. And personally speaking, my experience was learn by doing. Anytime I had a question that I could not find within the knowledge base, I would just test it out myself to figure out how I might be able to go about doing that. And the longer that you use Build, the more experience that you have and the more confidence that you have in using the technology. And I think that you're always coming out with wonderful, great features that changes how you might utilize it. So we're continually building upon our knowledge base and trying to keep up with that, trying to do more trainings and keep up with videos and new features when it comes out. So
Great. Yeah. I want to share one screen from our website that includes some data that we're really proud of. Our customer success team is awesome. I love working with these folks. We put on an event every year for our customers called Kuali Days. It's organized by our customer success team, and they do such a great job. But just some of the metrics, I'm so impressed with their ability to address issues as they come up. And I want to focus on this area of the page here. So when we have a critical customer reports a critical issue, our average, it's a 4-minute turnaround on those issues. So mostly in real time. If something comes up that's urgent, we're Johnny on the spot. We are on it. We're going to address that issue in real time. For high priority issues, we have a 22-minute average, and for all issues, 51 minutes. So in terms of service level agreement, where a lot of companies might promise a 24-hour turnaround, we're just blowing that out of the water. And overall, our customer success rating of 99.2. One of the things that the company is really invested in is working hard to make sure that our customers feel supported on this journey, because it's a big change, right? It's a huge change from the standard way of doing things. It's a transformation in the truest sense. And that can be really scary and puts a lot of pressure on folks like Jessica, Jason, and Christina. And it takes time for people to get on board. So as you're going through that process, we want to be sure that we're there with you, supporting you as you go through that process. Jason, I had one question for you. And I don't mean to put you on the spot too much here, but I'm hoping you can help me out. Can you talk to me a little bit about how integrations work? I know Kuali, we have an open API. It's a RESTful API that returns a full JSON array. So we're ready to plug and play with, whatever system is out there, whether it be, an ERP or student information system. We've got that API ready to go. But how are those integrations developed internally, and then how are they shared? If I'm an app administrator in another department, how would I go about getting access to an integration?
Yeah, so whenever we needed an integration to a backend system, like our student information system or identity management, we work with those teams. They have developers on those teams, and we tell them basically, we give them some background on the form we're developing. Here's the information we can provide you. Usually it's an ID number for pulling information, and this is the information we need back. And then they develop it, and then we just set that integration up in Kuali. Once they've built their API, we just go into Kuali and make an integration that calls that API. Sometimes even those developers have configured that for us.
Nice.
It's so simple to do that they can look at it and set that up for us. And then we just integrate it. We take that integration then and then add it to the form. And then we're able to now pass in this ID number, get back all this information about the student, and display that on a form or a list of courses or whatever that may be. And so it's actually worked really well. It's really simple from our side.
Cool.
They're
Yeah.
the ones that do the heavy lifting there. But
Yeah, I know it exists as a gadget. I mean, this word has come up a few times over the course of our webinar. For those listening, gadgets are things like an entry field, a date field, a number field. They're from left to right. You can drag. You have a menu of things that you can drag into a form or a workflow, and one of those gadgets is called an integration. So if you have a drop-down menu, you can drag an integration into that and have that drop-down menu automatically populate with, say, the buildings that you have on campus or what have you. So yeah, having somebody from the IT team sort of set that integration up and then make it available to our app builders is a great way to get easy access to that data. All right, we're a little past the top of the hour, and I know people have other meetings they have to get to. Jessica, I'm so glad you were able to jump back on board and finish out that presentation. All three of you are wonderful. This is probably, I think, my favorite Build webinar that we've had yet. Just amazing success stories. There'll be a case study coming on the heels of this. We're going to capture everything that you shared and put it into a document, as well as the recording of the webinar. For those who are listening, I'll be sending out a link that you can share with your compatriots as shortly after we finish here today. Let's see, I do have one final slide to share if I can find it. Here it is. I want everyone to just grab their cell phones for a moment, because the next and final thing that I need to share with you is our two wonderful, amazing, and extremely talented account executives, Danny O'Rourke and Liz Christensen. They are Build experts. They can answer all of your questions for Build. They would love to give you a short demonstration of Kuali Build and show you how it all works, show you that ease of use in real time, the drag and drop capability of, Build, creating forms and workflows. Yeah, so if you want to scan that QR code, we're able to get that contact information over to you. And with that, I think we're done. I think that is officially the end of this webinar. Christina, Jason, and Jessica, thank you so much for your time. You were very generous with your sharing today. I really, truly appreciate it.
welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right, that's it, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks for joining us. We'll see you. Bye.